Volleyball picks up a big win in the Horizon League.
While football moves to 1-0 in conference play.
All this and more coming up on the Penguin Rundown. What's up, Penguin Nation? I'm John Schiraldi alongside Mike Yerstowski. Mike, a busy week in YSU sports.
It was. There was over 7 teams competing last week, and we have even bigger games coming up this weekend, so a lot going on campus here.
Certainly. We had golf, tennis, and women's bowling held their inaugural practice this past week. But first, let's start things off with some women's soccer. Coach Boateng and company were back in action this past Sunday at Farmers National Bank Field against Wright State. Despite a game-tying goal by Ernestina Ambambila, the Raiders took the 2-1 win. Taking a closer look at the season Ernestina's having, the junior now is leading the Horizon League in 18 total points this season. She also has 6 goals as well as 6 assists over the first 12 games. Ambambila also ranks amongst the top 10 Horizon League players in points per game, assists per game, goals, and goals per game. Good luck to Ernestina and the entire team as they visit Northern Kentucky this Saturday, October 8th.
The volleyball team was on the road last weekend against Valparaiso and Wright State. Friday at Valpo, the Penguins rallied from behind for the 5-set victory. Sarah Varcola posted her first career double-double with 13 kills and a career-high 10 blocks, while teammate Lauren Blanco posted a match-best 23 digs. But on Saturday at Wright State, the ladies lost in straight sets, which now puts the record at 7-11. We take a look at the volleyball team's next 4 matches. They'll be at home against Green Bay and Milwaukee this weekend at the Beagley Center before hitting the road to take on Northern Kentucky in UIC.
The swim team opened up their season this past weekend at the Tom Stubbs Relays event. The team placed 5th in the 4x100 freestyle relay and 6th in the 4x200 freestyle relay. 2 swimmers in action for the Gwins, Madison Aranda and Victoria Rose. Christina Sadovich caught up with the pair to get an inside look at the 2016 season.
The YSU swim and dive team was back in action this weekend at the Tom Stubbs Relay event. We caught up with Madison Aranda and Victoria Rose to get an insight on the 2016 season.
I was really excited because I had a really hard last year. I was injured and then I was sick, so I got like even more motivation for this year because of this. I have big goals for this year. I really want like an easy season, like without any sickness or injury. So I can't wait what this year will bring.
Here's how Madison trained for the season over the summer.
Over the off season, we do a lot more technical stuff. We work a lot more on strokes, drills, a little less on speed work, and I'm just, getting our strokes really down how they're supposed to be, and then the speed work and the training and endurance kind of comes later during the season.
Here are a few of Victoria's favorite team bonding moments.
I really like everything what the team does together, especially if we are like having a lot of fun, like the volunteer hours, like they are really good. Like we are together and having fun. Like at the beginning of this season, like we did the Pooch Pentathlon. That was awesome, like hanging out with the puppies and like with the team, like it was awesome. Like I think that was my favorite.
Recruiting trips are really fun for us because when we have recruits come in, they want to meet the whole team. So over the weekend, we do a lot of stuff together. Right. So we all kind of look forward to that because we get to be together and not swimming, like doing fun stuff. So.
Right.
Taking a closer look at the impact of Victoria and Madison, Aranda set records in the 200-meter fly and individual medley last season, while LaRose set records in the 200, 500, and 800-meter freestyles. Best of luck to the entire swim and dive team as they head to St. Bonaventure this Saturday. It may be the fall, but men's basketball team is already preparing for their first game on November 12th. The Penguins held their first official practice this past Saturday at the Beagley Center. Head coach Jory is entering his 12th season with the program and is returning 3 starters as well as 10 letter winners. Joining us now is one of those 3 starters, point guard Francisco Santiago. Cisco, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, John. How are you?
I appreciate you taking the time out of your day and your practice schedule and joining us here in studio.
Appreciate you having me.
So, Cisco, a long off season. What'd you do this summer to get ready?
I was just in the gym really constantly, like 2-3 times a day even. As much as I could, get in the gym as much as I could with my father, because that's who I started with and that's who got me to the point I am today. So just really been in the gym all summer.
Great. Now, some big road games for you guys this year. I'll take a look at your schedule. You're traveling to Michigan State as well as Ohio State. What are you most excited about heading into this season?
Just being able to, a chance to redeem ourselves, because, you know, we didn't live up to our standards last year. We didn't really play that well, weren't consistent, and just excited to get back into the grooves of things and, you know, pick up a lot more wins.
Now, you guys held your first official practice this past Saturday. What's the mood like coming out of boot camp and really heading into the season?
We're really goal-oriented this year. I think there was some people who believed we could do big things last year, but then there's some people who really didn't. So right there causes conflict, but I feel like the whole team believes that we have something special and we could do something special.
And that's really when you see special things happen, when everyone buys in and everyone's invested in the program, such as yourself. That's really when you see some special things happen. Now, of course, let's take a look at these uniforms, Cisco. Got some new gear here.
Yes,
Notice
sir.
the new Youngstown State script there at the top. That's really clean looking. You have the new white and black stripes at the edges of the uniforms. I mean, looking pretty good. I do have to say, the 23 looks especially good on you, my friend.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've been told.
I mean, you look good, you play good, and we want to thank the grind father, Francisco Santiago, for taking the time out of his day for joining us in studio. You can catch Francisco and the entire team in action in those new uniforms on November 12th as they face off against Akron. Cisco, thanks for stopping by, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
We want to thank our good friend Francisco Santiago for making some time for us. Those jerseys, very nice, and we're excited for the season. But the cross-country team was back in action this week at the Joe Pione Invitational. The men finished 4th out of 24 teams, while the women finished 20th out of 28 teams. Leading the way for the Penguins overall was Ryan Sullivan. The junior has been the top finisher the past 2 meets and finished 8th in the 5-mile race. Good luck to Ryan and the rest of the cross-country team on October 15th as the Gwins compete at the NCAA Pre-National Invitational.
The men's tennis team was one of 6 participants to compete at the Toledo Rocket Invitational this past weekend. Yossi DeHaan and Matthew Kritzinger picked up singles victories versus the Rockets, while Thomas Rodriguez picked up a win over Western Michigan. The Gwins will be back in action on October 21st at the ITA Midwest Regionals.
The men's golf team was in action this past week at the Cleveland State Invitational at the Barrington Golf Club in Aurora, Ohio. Senior Steven Sveda placed 15th in the Invitational, finishing at 1 under par and tied his career best for a round after shooting 3 under par on Monday afternoon. Now the men will be back in action on October 9th in the Northern Illinois Invitational. And as for the women, they will also be in action this weekend as they host the Roseanne Schwartz Invitational at the Youngstown Country Club. Cleveland State, Oakland, St. Francis, Niagara, and Akron will all be in action versus the Penguins. Head coach Nate Miklos will start Riva Morris, Mia Barchetti, Christina Cooper, and both Courtney and Caitlin Shutt. Tee time are set for Monday at 10:30 a.m., and we'd like to wish both teams the best of luck.
The football team was back in action after a bye week. Saturday, the 13th ranked Gwins faced off with Missouri Valley Conference foe, the University of South Dakota Coyotes. Let's take a look at the game. Now the Penguins enter this game at 2-1. This an offense led by Ricky Davis, averaging just a shade over 34 points a game. Here, Davis drops back and finds Jody Webb streaking across the middle and gashing the Coyote defense down to the 12. This would set up a Zach Kennedy field goal. We pick things back up here early in the second quarter, where Martin Ruiz gets the handoff, absorbs the contact, and carries a host of Coyote defenders into the end zone. His 2nd touchdown on the day and 6th of the season. Defense was the name of the game for the Gwins Saturday as Jalen Powell picks off the Chris Strevler pass and takes it back for 6. Defense really led the way for the Penguins the whole day. South Dakota not to be outdone. They would not go away quietly as Chris Strevler finds Alonge Brooks in the back corner of the end zone for the touchdown, but it would prove to be too little too late as Youngstown State would pick up the 30-20 win at the Ice Castle. Taking a closer look at the day for Martin Ruiz, the senior moved into 5th place on the YSU all-time rushing list with 3,520 career rushing yards after running for 65 yards on 19 carries with 2 touchdowns versus the Coyotes. He also ranks 5th in all-time in YSU history in rushing attempts and is the 6th rushing touchdowns. Here is what Coach Bo Pelini had to say after the game.
You look at some of the things, even when we were having some success early on, we got away with some things. We had some missed assignments. We had some mental errors. We had some things that that we were getting away with, and that's going to be the case sometimes. But I expect to, I have a higher standard than I felt that what we played with in all 3 phases of the game. I expect we're going to get their best shot. We're going to get their best, and they're at home, and I know I always say this. I'm not worried about them right now. I'm worried about us, and getting us right, getting increasing our level of execution. That's I just would get our guys where they understand our game plan. They know it inside and out. They're ready to execute at a high level for 4 quarters, and then that's where my concern is right now. I mean, can't control what Illinois State's going to do.
A huge day as well for Zach Kennedy. The sophomore was 3 for 3 with field goals coming from 26, 28, and 24 yards. He was also 3 for 3 on extra points and was named the Missouri Valley Football Conference Special Teams Player of the Week. Kennedy is 17 of 19 on field goals in conference play for his career. The Penguins now move to 3-1 on the season and 1-0 in Missouri Valley Football Conference play. Saturday, Mike, the Gwins will head to Illinois State to take on the 23rd-ranked Redbirds, led by head coach Brock Spack. I now bring in my colleague Mike Yurstowski, as you can see here. Mike, when you take a look at this matchup, what jumps out to you about Illinois State?
Well, I think first off, before they head into this game on Saturday, they got to clean up some things, and we heard that was preached by head coach Bo Pelini last Saturday, and then heading up to this week, early in the week, they need to fix their mistakes. Last week there was 3 red zone possessions at one point in the game, and we only came away with 3 points of that. So that's something they want to clean up. They want to capitalize on these and not settle for 3, especially when you got an explosive offense led by Ricky Davis and the running back trio and some good players on the outside at the receiving position. You want to get 7 on the board instead of 3. So I think they need to clean that up heading into Saturday.
Now, Mike, we know this is the 25th matchup between these two schools, a matchup that Illinois State slightly leads 13-12, but YSU hasn't won since 2006 against the Redbirds. What do they have to do to pick up a victory Saturday?
Well, first off, YSU is going to be very fortunate that Illinois State has lost their quarterback from last year, Trey Roberson, and their running back, Marshawn Coppridge. These 2 guys were dynamic for Illinois State for over their entire career and really gave YSU some trouble. But when you look at it this year, they have to worry about their quarterback, Jake Colby. He's a 6'3", 205-pound quarterback. He has a great arm. He runs it as well. He's got over 12,000, that's a lot, 1,200 passing yards on the season already. That's still a good amount for only playing 4 games and 7 touchdowns. And they also have a good wide receiver on the outside, which Jake likes to go to a lot. His name is Anthony Warm. He's a great receiver on the outside. He was a Missouri Valley Conference first team at wide receiver last season, and he has over 12,000 yards in 2015 as well. So he's a guy YSU has to look for, as Leroy Alexander and the secondary is going to have to focus on him all day.
Sure. Now, Mike, we heard Coach Pelini talk about execution in his press conference. What do the Gwins need to execute on Saturday?
Well, they need to execute what we talked about in the first segment, is they need to focus on the red zone, capitalize. But really, I think this game's going to be won in the secondary. I just talked about Anthony Warren and Jake Colby there. It's a dynamic duo for Illinois State. And Leroy Alexander, Eric Thompson, David Rivers, Kenny Bishop, they're going to have a tough time stopping this passing attack for Illinois State. And I think that's where the game's going to be won. And it's also going to be won up front with our front 7 on the defensive end with their offensive line. Our defense is still not allowed a rushing touchdown in the 4 games that we've played this year. We're coming in 10th in the FCS with 92.3 yards given up per game. So this defense is going to have to get some stops and let the offense get some points if YSU is going to beat Illinois State this weekend.
Fantastic. Great stuff there from Mike Yurstowski. The Penguins and the Redbirds will kick off at 3 p.m. at Hancock Stadium this Saturday. The game is available on WKBN 570 AM, iHeartRadio, WBCB TV Youngstown, and ESPN3 and the Watch ESPN app.
Well, it's time for this week's Penguin Play of the Week. And this week is going to go out to a football player that had a great play that sealed the victory, as it's Jalen Powell, the pick six late in the fourth quarter to seal the Penguins' 30-20 victory. A beautiful play for Jalen as he takes it and reads the pass and takes it for 6. A great play. You see in slow motion here, a great read off the tip by Avery Moss, and Jalen Powell picks it off and runs it in the end zone for 6 points. YSU wins 30-20. So that's
That
this
looked
week's.
like me out there playing cornerback.
What age?
That
flag football, maybe?
I'm pretty agile.
I haven't seen you make a play like that for a couple years now.
Here for the athlete that I am. I'm just kidding. I would.
It was a great play either way.
Great play by my man
Absolutely.
Jalen. That about does it for us here at the Penguin Rundown. For news, highlights, and more, be sure to check out YSUSports.com. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, and Instagram at Penguin Rundown 1. I'm John Chiraldi.
And I'm Mike Yurstowski. Thanks for tuning in, Penguin Nation.